In at number 10, Jussie Smollett. Jussie Smollett was best known for his role on Empire at the time of his scandal, although he was not a household name. But his fame exploded to new heights when he alleged that two white men, who were wearing MAGA hats, attacked him, shouting racist and homophobic slurs. The whole world supported him, and he became somewhat of a figurehead against racial hate, until it was revealed that it was all a lie, and he actually paid two men to attack him. After it was revealed that he faked everything, the city of Chicago sued him for filing a fake police report, as well as the cost of investigating the attack, for over $130,000. On February 11th of 2020, Smollett was indicted again by a Cook County grand jury on 6 counts pertaining to making 4 false police reports, and he was of course blacklisted from the industry. He was just found guilty of his crimes and will be serving time behind bars, and he will obviously never work in Hollywood again. In at number 9, Josh Duggar. Josh Duggar has finally been found guilty for his crimes and is now facing up to 40 years in prison for his charges. The former reality TV star, known as a sibling on the show 19 Kids and Counting, was sentenced and he will be charged in Arkansas. I can't exactly tell you what his charges are, or the video could get flagged, but he was charged with receiving and possessing illegal content of. After the guilty verdict, Duggar's lawyers made a statement saying, quote, "We appreciate the jury's lengthy deliberations, we respect the jury's verdict, and we intend to appeal." He has since been taken into custody, but his sentence has not been determined. Since the guilty verdict, Josh's sister, Jana Duggar, has also been arrested on similar charges. Since the family is now disgraced, nobody will want to hire them again. In at number 8, Travis Scott. Travis Scott has been blacklisted from the music industry following the tragic Astroworld festival that took place in Houston. As of now, 10 people have passed away following the festival, while hundreds are injured. After the festival, fans realized this problematic behavior was not a one-off, and Travis had encouraged rowdy and dangerous behavior in the past. Scott and the concert organizers are now getting sued in a mountain of lawsuits that equal to potentially billions of dollars in payouts. Since it's unclear who's legally at fault for the tragedy, no concert venue or insurance agency will ever want to work with Travis again, as the liability is just not worth it. Many have speculated that Travis could even go bankrupt because of the money he's going to be paying out. Travis also did an interview with Charlemagne the God where he took zero accountability for what happened. All of this just proves that Travis will not have a career when this is over. In at number 7, Joe Gorga. Joe Gorga is currently performing a comedy set around the country, but at a show earlier this month, his performance was so bad that his wife Melissa had to pull him off the stage. Melissa and Joe are best known from their time on Real Housewives of New Jersey. While he was performing a stand-up set at the Governor's Comedy Club in Long Island, his performance got messy real quick. After Melissa yanked him off the stage, Joe submitted a statement through his manager, saying in part, quote, "This was not my typical show. As I share my many life lessons in my stand-up routine, now I can add this one. Don't mix alcohol with Sudafed." He says he was not feeling well and decided to take something so that he would still be able to perform for his fans. But after he had a few drinks, his body did not react as well to the mix as he had hoped, and he started acting a little loopy. Joe said in the statement that he doesn't often take cold medicine and that his wife had not seen him like that, which is why she approached the stage to get him off. After this, who knows if he will be hired again by the venue. In at number 6, Drake. Drake and Kanye made huge waves in the rap community when they squashed their beef and came together to perform at the Free Larry Hoover benefit concert. Fans online said it was the concert of the year and were raving about Kanye's set. Some even said that it was his best performance ever. But sadly, Drake did not get that kind of response, and fans were disappointed and even embarrassed by Drake's performance. The big issue was that Kanye made a point to play a lot of his classic hit songs, while Drake practically only played music from his most recent release, Certified Lover Boy. One fan even joked that based on his set, Drake does not want Larry Hoover to be free. Drake has not responded to all the criticism, but I'm sure it's taken a hit to his ego. Halfway number 5, Chris Cuomo. CNN's Chris Cuomo has officially been fired from his network after an investigation uncovered the anchor helped his brother, disgraced Governor Andrew Cuomo, during his scandal. Earlier they announced that he was going to be suspended, barring the results of the investigation. But partway through the investigation they had uncovered enough to fire him. CNN wrote, quote, "While in the process of that review, additional information has come to light. Despite the termination, we will investigate as appropriate." This all comes on the heels of an investigation by the New York Attorney General's office, which suggested that he was heavily involved in his brother's scandal. Following his termination, reports are coming out that Chris was accused of sexual harassment, and that's a part of the reason for his termination, so it's clear that no network will want to touch him. In at number 4, James Corden. James Corden is the beloved host of The Late Late Show. He's produced viral segments like Spill Your Guts or Fill Your Guts and Carpool Karaoke. But a lot of people don't know that he started out as an actor and he wants to do more of it in the future. But unfortunately, the public does not want this for him, and is doing everything possible to keep him away from their favorite musicals. He was a part of the live remake of Cats, which was a disastrous failure. Then after it was announced that Ariana Grande was going to be acting in the big screen version of Wicked, the public was worried that James Corden might try to get involved. So someone started a petition called, quote, "Keep James Corden out of Wicked." The bio for the petition simply stated, "James Corden in no way, shape, or form should be in or near the production of Wicked the movie." That's pretty much it, and almost immediately got over 50,000 signatures, so it's clear that James will not be hired for any more musicals in the future. In at number 3, Ice Cube. With the new rules surrounding vaccines in the workplace, some Hollywood stars have been kicked off new movies because they refuse to get the shot. Ice Cube has officially stepped away from Sony's upcoming comedy, Oh Hell No, in which he would have co-starred with Jack Black, because he refused to get the shot. The cast was set to start filming this winter in Hawaii, but it was required that all parties on set get the vaccine. Apparently Ice Cube walked away from $9 million. Until vaccine mandates are lifted from production, it seems like Ice Cube will not be working. In at number 2, Steve Burton. General Hospital star Steve Burton confirmed on Instagram that he had been fired from his long-running role on the show over refusal to get the vaccine. After rumors had been swirling, he took to Instagram to clear up any rumors. He said, quote, "Unfortunately, General Hospital has let me go because of the vaccine mandate. I did apply for my medical and religious exemptions, and both of those were denied, which hurts. But this is also about personal freedom to me." Apparently, the whole talk about mandates happened after Burton tested positive for COVID back in August, and production was shut down. After that occurrence, the vaccine mandate was created. General Hospital is currently the only soap drama that has the vax mandate. The other 3 main soaps are using regular testing and social distancing to prevent the spread. And finally at number 1, Marilyn Manson. Marilyn Manson has been accused of horrific crimes by multiple of his ex-partners. Actress Evan Rachel Wood posted to her Instagram on February 1st of 2021, exposing that she had been by Manson. In the long statement, she said that he started engaging with her while she was only a teen, and she was, quote, "brainwashed and manipulated into submission." She then claimed that she did not want to live in fear, and she wants to expose him before he does more harm, concluding, quote, "I stand with the many women who will no longer be silent." Wood, who was 33, met Manson when she was 18 and he was 36 back in 2007. They later got engaged in 2010 for 8 months until the relationship ended. This statement on Instagram came as 4 other women have recently come forward with allegations against Manson. Manson has denied the allegations, but he still has been blacklisted until these legal matters are sorted out. Wood even recently revealed that Manson threatened to hurt her 8-year-old son. The only person who has collaborated with him since the allegations was Kanye West, and nobody else in the music business wants anything to do with him. Starting off this countdown, we have her wickedness. Pun intended. So just recently, Ariana Grande let her followers know that she'll be starring in the upcoming Wicked movie with Tony-winning actor Cynthia Erivo, a role that Lea wanted to get. If you've seen Glee, then you know that Lea's character Rachel Berry even sang "Defying Gravity" from Wicked. In 2019, Lea said it would be incredible if she could be in Wicked. But that won't be happening, and people think it's because of Lea's own wicked behavior. She has been exposed by a number of her fellow acting colleagues. People have called her rude, terrifying, manipulative, and a nightmare, among other things. From 2006 to 2008, Lea starred in the Broadway musical Spring Awakening. Fellow cast member Marcus S. Daniels said that Michelle was, and I quote, "abusive, rude, condescending, and at many times downright cruel." He continued on calling her out, saying, "There was no excuse for your behavior. You have so much talent, but there is so much hate within your heart. Everyone who has worked with you carries those memories with them." So it seems like Lea is literally Rachel in real life. Moving on to number 9, we have the living hell. Earlier this year, during the Black Lives Matter movement, Lea tweeted out in support. She tweeted, and I quote, "George Floyd did not deserve this. This was not an isolated incident and it must end." And then she used the hashtag Black Lives Matter. Well, Samantha Ware, former Glee cast member, responded to that tweet and called Lea out. In all caps, she tweeted, "LMAO, remember when you made my first television gig a living hell? 'Cause I'll never forget. I believe you told everyone that if you had the opportunity, you would in my wig, amongst other traumatic microaggressions that made me question a career in Hollywood. That is insane. Another time, Lea didn't like how Samantha was acting on set and threatened to have her fired. Needless to say, she makes sets a living hell. In our 8th spot, we have being unpleasant. Another Glee co-star, Heather Morris, ended up tweeting out in support of Samantha, coming forward calling out Lea Michele. She said, and I quote, "Was she unpleasant to work with? Very much so. For Lea to treat others with the disrespect that she did for as long as she did, I believe she should be called out." Then, former RuPaul's Drag Race contestant Willem also came forward. Willem made an appearance on the 4th season of Glee. They said, and I quote, "Lea treated me so subhuman I left the set of Glee, past the popcorn." Nobody wants to work in a toxic environment. Good for them for leaving. Coming in our 7th spot, we have being disrespectful. Lea Michele can officially add being disrespectful to her list of talents on her acting resume. One of her former co-stars and understudy for Spring Awakening tweeted out saying, "You were nothing but a nightmare to me and fellow understudy cast members. You made us feel like we didn't belong there. I tried for years to be nice to you to no avail. Maybe actually apologize instead of placing the blame on how others perceive you." You'll probably just delete this though. He's not the only understudy to come forward though. Elizabeth Aldrich was Lea's understudy in Ragtime in 1998, and she said, and I quote, "She was absolutely awful to me and the ensemble. She demeaned the crew and threatened to have people fired if she was in any displeased. I used to cry every night from the mean and manipulative things she would do. She was 12. She was terrifying." Dude, she was only 12 and already had an attitude problem? And if sets condone this behavior, then she thinks that she can continue to get away with it, so she won't change her ways at all. In our 6th spot today, we have the dictator. Lea Michele believes the world revolves around her. I'm sure you can tell that by now. When on set, she thinks that she has the power to dictate what goes on. For example, if someone gets on her nerves, Lea will apparently try to get them fired. Well, another person that exposed Lea would be actor Davir Snell. He appeared on one episode of Glee in 2014. He tweeted saying, "Girl, you wouldn't let me sit at the table with the other cast members cause I didn't belong there. F you, Lea." Yikes. Okay, but Lea, that's not a very welcoming thing to do. She's literally just a big bully. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the racism. A number of cast members of color have come forward saying they felt that Lea's hate towards them was racially motivated. Then 30 Rock actor Keith Powell came forward and said, and I quote, "Lea Michele is a terrible human and has said terrible things to many different types of people, including racist microaggressions to/about black people," which is seemingly why Samantha was so ticked off about Lea's tweet about George Floyd. She's not practicing what she's been preaching. After word got out about Lea's behavior, HelloFresh dropped her from their partnership. They said that they do not condone racism nor discrimination of any kind, nor should anyone. In our 4th spot, we have the drama. On a number of sets, Lea has been known to try and start drama. On Glee, Lea tried to start drama with Naya Riviera. In an interview, she revealed, and I quote, "Lea and I were like two sides of the same battery. We are both strong-willed and competitive, not just with each other, but with everyone, and that's not a good mixture." As the show progressed, especially as Santana moved from a background character to one with bigger plot lines and more screen time, I think Lea, didn't like sharing the spotlight. It seemed like she blamed me for anything and everything that went wrong. If I'd complain about anyone or anything, she'd assume I was bitching about her. Soon she started to ignore me, and eventually it got to the point where she didn't say a word to me for all of season 6. Wow, that's tough. In our 3rd spot today, we have the attitude problem. Another one of Lea's former Glee colleagues, Chase Edmondson, outed Lea for a terrible interaction he had with her. So Chase worked in the production department for season 3 and 4 of Glee. According to him, he said, "My strongest memory of you was storming out of the Glee classroom set yelling, 'Does anyone have gum?' I was standing about 10 feet from you with gum already in hand. When I said, 'I do,' offering it to you, you just looked at me and said, 'Ew,' before walking off to Crafty on the next stage." I have no clue how she can just treat her colleagues with such disrespect. Come on now. In our 2nd spot, we have the background actors. Seems like everyone that worked with Lea Michele has been victimized by her, including the background performers. Mia Edwards was a background actor for season 6 of Glee. According to her, Lea made them feel as if they were nothing, and often referred to the background actors as cockroaches. Like what? And if any background actors looked at Lea, she'd be like, ugh, don't look at me, don't make eye contact, ugh, you cockroaches. That's not all though. According to her, while prepping for a scene on set, Lea, and I quote, walked by me and burped in my face. This loud burp, directly, almost face to face. It wasn't even like, oh, she wouldn't have known. She knew she burped in my face. Two other people saw it and an operator said, oh my god, I'm so sorry she did that. I was just like, yeah, whatever, you're on set trying to be professional, you're not trying to make a huge deal about things. After the second or third take, she walked by me and stepped on my foot really hard. You know when you bump into someone, you can feel it. Again, nothing, no reaction, like I wasn't even there. It made me feel like I was nothing. And in our number one spot today, we have the lookalike. So back in September of 2009, a number of actors were hired to work as lookalikes at a Glee premiere party. These lookalikes had to resemble the show's characters and they would perform at the party. So this one girl was hired as the Rachel Berry lookalike. And listen what she had to say. She said, and I quote, I didn't know my character was the lead, let alone who played her. When the actors arrived at the event and found out there were lookalikes of them, Lea came searching for me. When she saw me, she said, oh my god, could they have picked someone uglier? Corey Monteith saw the look on my face and said, don't listen to her, she's just jealous, you're beautiful. I never forgot that.
At number 10, Rihanna. Rihanna is mostly seen as a boss babe with a lot of fans and followers who admire her for more than her music. Though she is a successful singer, she also prides herself on being a businesswoman and tries to portray an inclusive brand ideal. Though she's done a pretty good job being inclusive to all backgrounds with her makeup brand's shade range and her inclusive sizing in her lingerie brand, people are calling her out for being insensitive towards other religions, and this might come to hurt her, maybe even resulting in her losing work. Recently, Rihanna posted a topless photo to her Instagram where she posed wearing a pendant necklace that featured a prominent god in Hindu religion. Fans began calling her out for appropriating this religion, with a lot of them commenting on how religion is not an aesthetic. This isn't the first time Riri has been called out for this though. Last year at her Savage X Fenty fashion show, Rihanna faced backlash for having her models walk to a song that included religious verses. Because she seems to face backlash for her actions involving other religions, she might have a hard time finding work if people stop collaborating with her over fears that this might happen again. At number 9, Bella Thorne. Bella Thorne is no stranger to bad press. She's been facing backlash since she was a Disney star, and things have just escalated from there. Because she's viewed by many as problematic, Hollywood may be hesitant to hire her for upcoming projects because of how people view her. Just in the last few months, Bella has been in the news for a number of scandals. Last summer, Bella faced backlash for her OnlyFans scam, where she scammed her fans into paying upwards of $200 for content that they weren't happy with, and even prompted a company policy change that affected other creators on the platform. She was also involved in some Twitter beef with her ex Tana Mojo because she released a diss track about her, and just a few weeks ago, Bella faced even more backlash as she publicly defended Armie Hammer and the leaked DMs that exposed him and his bedroom fantasies. Bella just has a way of rubbing people the wrong way, and since she's faced so much backlash just in the last year alone, I feel like Hollywood is going to pass on her for a little while. At number 8, Chris Harrison. Bachelor/Bachelorette host Chris Harrison has been facing backlash for comments that he made regarding another contestant's past. Recently, photos of one of the Bachelor contestants was released, which showed her attending an antebellum-themed party. This was perceived as racist because of the history of the antebellum South, and when asked about this scandal, host Chris Harrison made some comments that fans perceived as perpetuating racism. In an interview on Extra, when asked about this contestant's photos, Chris was seemingly defending her actions being at this party because it was, quote, in 2018. Rachel Lindsay, a past contestant and the first Black Bachelorette, questioned Chris on this, saying that it doesn't matter if this happened in 2018 or 2021, saying that it is never a good look. Chris continued to try and defend his stance on the fact that this took place 3 years ago, but it still didn't help win anyone over.
I don't disagree with you. You're 100% right in 2021. That was not the case in 2018.
Chris has now taken a leave from The Bachelor after apologizing for his remarks, but after this, we don't know if he will be welcomed back on the show or if any other networks will hire him later on. At number 7, Tyra Banks. Last year, Tyra Banks faced backlash for her time on America's Next Top Model. Old photos and episodes reemerged which showed the types of photos that the contestants were forced to take, including ones with the models in blackface. This prompted a bigger inquiry into the show's past, and it dug up more dirt on the way that Tyra used to treat the contestants as well. For a long time after the show, past contestants have been outspoken on the way that they were treated on the show and how their narratives were spun into making them more susceptible to hate. Recently, one of the models from Cycle 6, Lisa D'Amato, called Tyra out for how she used used to use her past traumas against her and how she endured physical, mental, and verbal abuse while working with Tyra. Now that all of this has come out about her past, Hollywood might be staying away from Tyra, and her latest gig of hosting Dancing with the Stars might be all she's got to hold on to for now, since the world knows about what she's like behind the scenes. At number 6, Butch Hartman. Butch Hartman, the artist known for creating popular Nickelodeon shows like Fairly Odd Parents, Tough Puppy, and Danny Phantom, is in some hot water after Twitter users have accused him of plagiarism. Butch has been doing commissioned drawings for fans and posts some of them on social media to show off what he's been creating. One of his most recent posts is a drawing that he did of a character from the anime Attack on Titan. One fan noticed that this piece looked a little too familiar until they realized that Butch had plagiarized their work. The commissioned pieces that Butch does sell for upwards of $200, and so to find out that someone is profiting so much off stolen work must be a slap in the face. But this scandal has uncovered some more dirt, showing that this isn't the first time Butch has been caught copying other art for commissions. Now that he's being exposed, if his industry catches onto this, he might be out of a job. In the art world, plagiarism is a huge offense, so this could really hurt his career, and he might never work on another animated production ever again. At number 5, the Kardashians. The Kardashians are a pretty problematic family. I'm pretty sure we can all agree on that. Though they kind of blur the line between celebrity and influencer, they still seem to dominate whichever industry takes them on. Being a big family of public figures, they have a lot of eyes on them, both from Hollywood and their fans. We often see the Kardashians doing brand deals, doing commercials, and taking part in big Hollywood events like the Met, but now things are changing and it might not be so great for the Kardashians. Last year in 2020, we watched the Kardashians face scandal after scandal in regards to the pandemic. Between their pandemic travels and their unsafe parties, they certainly faced a lot of backlash for being unsafe and for setting a bad example for fans. Not being COVID safe is something that the industry is taking more seriously because of the severity of the pandemic, and so their actions throughout the past year may really affect them in 2021. But on top of that, their personal connections may also be changing as well. Even though it's not something you're necessarily hired for, the Met Gala is a big Hollywood event that you have to be invited to, and if you didn't know, Kanye's relationship with Kim was the only reason why the Kardashians were ever invited, so with Kanye now out of the family picture, they might be fired from this big Hollywood event. At number 4, Justin Timberlake. Justin Timberlake is facing a lot of backlash lately, with fans of Britney Spears flooding his social media pages and demanding he apologize after the way he treated her in the media after their breakup in the early 2000s. The Framing Britney Spears documentary that was released recently looks into the way that the pop star was shown in the media, from the paparazzi to interviews, and it dives in deep into how this stardom affected her. A big part of this documentary explores Justin Timberlake's role in the media's mistreatment of Britney after their public breakup in 2002. After their relationship ended, Justin made Britney look like the villain in the relationship, accusing her of cheating and essentially weaponizing their breakup to boost his career. This prompted the media to put a lot of blame and shame on Britney, who really didn't deserve it. Now that fans in the media are revisiting Justin's actions, there are a number of people calling for accountability, and this could hurt his career. The treatment of others, past and present, are really being taken into account when looking at the success of someone's career, and with a scandal like this, Hollywood might be hesitant on working with Justin until he takes accountability and things die down on this drama. No one wants to be the one defending someone who put others down for their own personal gain, and so Hollywood might be a little quiet when it comes to JT. At number 3, Sia. Recently, singer Sia has been facing a lot of backlash in regards to her new movie, Music. Music is about a young non-verbal girl on the autism spectrum, and a lot of people, especially those in the autism community, have a lot to say about it, and none of it is positive. The biggest complaint about the film is the fact that the lead role wasn't cast as someone on the autism spectrum. The role instead went to Maddie Ziegler, who's worked alongside Sia for many years, starring in most of her music videos. But along with the casting backlash, Sia is also facing scrutiny for the portrayal of a type of restraint that is dangerous and has severely hurt autistic people in the past. People are really just against the movie for its glorified portrayal of the autism spectrum, and though Sia has issued a number of apologies, it just seems like things are getting worse for her. The backlash has gotten so bad that Sia has deleted her social media account, and this all just says a lot about her place in Hollywood. Because this production has been seen as so offensive, this film may affect her Hollywood career. Even though the film has been nominated for 2 Golden Globe Awards, the backlash that is coming with this award might paint Sia in a bad light to future production companies, which may make them hesitant to work with her again over fears of more backlash. At number 2, Marilyn Manson. Singer Marilyn Manson has been in the news recently because of allegations of abuse. Actor Evan Rachel Wood came forward to name Manson as her abuser, citing years of manipulation, brainwashing, and pain. Recently, Wood has opened up about some of the things that she endured with Manson, citing the singer's racist and anti-Semitic actions. She spoke out about the names he would call her, how he would draw anti-Semitic symbols around her bed, and even exposed him for having used the N-word on multiple occasions. Because of these horrific actions, Manson is now under investigation by the LA Sheriff's Department, looking into these allegations of abuse, which lasted from 2009 to 2011. In the weeks since Evan's statement was released, she's been publicly supported by many, some even sharing their own stories, and Manson has been feeling the heat from the industry as he's been dropped by his music label. Following these allegations, Marilyn will surely be hard-pressed to find work in Hollywood again, especially as this investigation gets underway. And finally at number 1, Armie Hammer. Armie Hammer made headlines early this year as some DMs were leaked on social media, which showed Armie talking about his bedroom fantasies. Some of the things discussed in the messages were Armie's desire to eat someone, and some people, like ex-partners, have come forward with their personal accounts of Armie's fantasies. Because of this bombshell story, Armie has been losing work and is seeing a fall from grace, if you will. When the scandal first broke, he backed out of an upcoming film project alongside Jennifer Lopez, and he has also recently dropped out of a series that he was cast for Paramount Plus. Now he's out of work and won't be finding any more anytime soon, as he's also been dropped by his agent and personal publicist. Hollywood will definitely not be casting Armie in any upcoming productions unless he is able to rebuild his image after this scandal.
In at number 10, Tobey Maguire. Looks like Tobey becoming Spider-Man was a terrible thing for his ego. Tobey's rude behavior has even been documented in the memoir called Molly's Game, which was later then turned into a movie starring Jessica Chastain. The author Molly Bloom said that Tobey actually offered her a $1,000 poker chip at a high-stakes game in 2014, but there was a little bit of a catch. She said that Maguire told her to bark like a seal, and when she refused, she said Tobey told her, "I'm not kidding, what's wrong, you're too rich now? You won't bark for $1,000? Proof positive that Tobey's ego definitely made him crazy. Plus, Sam Raimi told Vulture magazine that he was very unhappy with Spider-Man 3 and Tobey's performance, which actually put a stop to the potential 4th film in the series. And he hasn't worked in Hollywood since. In at number 9, Taylor Lautner. Taylor has been acting since 2001, but he truly rose to prominence in Hollywood when he starred in the series called Twilight. Due to the massive success of this series, everyone truly believed that Taylor Lautner was destined to be the next big movie star. While Lautner's talent agency also did a great job of convincing Hollywood executives that he was worth more money. Although the studios began to second guess this original claim when Taylor starred in the box office mess called Abduction. He apparently demanded $5 million for the film, but when it bombed, they could no longer justify paying him any more for future projects. The failure of Abduction really spoiled 2 other movie deals that he was already in talks with. Reportedly, he was set to get $7.5 million for a movie called Stretch Armstrong and $10 million for the retelling of the biblical David and Goliath. As a result of Lautner not starring in any more big studio films and only appearing on 2 short-lived TV shows, it's safe to say that Taylor is just too expensive for Hollywood to hire anymore. In at number 8, Cameron Diaz. Believe it or not, but the last thing that Cameron Diaz did was a film called Annie back in 2014. Feels like just yesterday. Throughout the early 2000s though, Cameron was one of the highest paid actors, and from that built a very impressive resume of big Hollywood gigs. She's been in films such as Charlie's Angels, Gangs of New York, and There's Something About Mary. The interesting thing is that Cameron started acting as a complete amateur. She had no film experience prior to landing her first big role in The Mask. After that, she began taking acting lessons because she just didn't want to be known as just a model that sucked at acting. Cameron announced her retirement though from acting in March of 2018, which is another big reason why Hollywood won't hire her anymore, because she just doesn't want to do the acting gigs. In at number 7, Daniel Day-Lewis. Daniel Day-Lewis is without a doubt a GOAT in the acting world, both in appearance and acting skill. He enjoys fully embracing the character and has even gone as far as refusing to answer to his birth name while on set. The last film that Daniel did was called Phantom Thread in 2017, which was a drama about the fashion industry in 1950s London. When speaking about his decision to retire from acting after this film, Daniel said, "I didn't want to get sucked back into another project. All my life I've mouthed off about how I should stop acting, and I don't know why it was different this time, but the impulse to quit took root in me, and that became a compulsion. It was something I had to do." In number 6, Macaulay Culkin. It is a mystery as to how Macaulay has been able to maintain his sanity over the years. He's been so famous essentially for his entire life. In the 1990s, he was one of the most famous child stars around and arguably one of the most famous actors as well. Thanks to the smash hit that Home Alone was, Culkin was catapulted into a very lucrative career. Sadly, when Macaulay was 15, his parents separated, and oddly enough, his wealth was at the center of their dispute. Try to figure that one out. Increasingly becoming frustrated frustrated that his mother would try to use his $17 million in earnings to buy a new house for herself, Macaulay enlisted the help of a lawyer. He then emancipated himself from both of his parents, but his mother ended up winning custody. Apparently, Macaulay attempted to audition for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but according to him, he absolutely blew the audition. While speaking with Metro UK, he said, "I wouldn't have hired me. I'm terrible at auditioning anyway, and this was my first audition in like 8 years. It was a disaster." Yikes, well, Hollywood's not gonna hire you with that confidence. In number 5, Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman is one of the few actors that rose to fame later on in life. Gene didn't become a leading Hollywood man until he was in his 40s when he landed a starring role in The French Connection. Also my favorite breakfast. For the Sunset Grill fans out there. Hackman ended up winning an Academy Award for the film, and over his remaining time as an actor, he built a very impressive IMDb page. Typically, he would play that rougher, older man that shouts at people, which was essentially drawn from his own life experiences. Gene's acting career came to an end in 2004, though, with the film Welcome to Mooseport opposite Ray Romano. On July 7, 2004, Hackman gave a rare interview to Larry King where he announced that he had no future film projects lined up and believed his acting career was over. In 2008, while promoting his third novel, he confirmed that he had officially retired from acting. In number 4, Mara Wilson. Due to her charming performances as a child actor in Mrs. Doubtfire and Matilda, Mara Wilson had become one of the most beloved stars in the 1990s. You know, with Macaulay. However, according to Mara, the pressures of Hollywood began to really get to her. She felt that Hollywood had embraced a toxic, image-obsessed direction that forced a lot of child actors to retire in their teens. After she finished with Matilda, she noticed that her career had started to slow down. Mara speaks about this experience in her book called Where Am I Now? In the book, she said, "I wasn't getting any parts. Something didn't make sense, at least until I was called for a role in a pilot. I would be auditioning for The Fat Girl," which at that point she understood that Hollywood was not a great place for people with body issues, and she got out. In number 3, Terrence Howard. Back in 2008, when the Marvel Universe kicked off with the first Iron Man film, most of the cast would soon become key players in what would be a very successful franchise. Terrence Howard was the original War Machine and Tony Stark's sidekick slash babysitter. In past interviews when Terrence was first starting out, he admitted that he was kind of difficult to work with. After his starring role in the film Hustle and Flow, Howard told interviewers that the reason he isn't in the limelight is a direct result of how difficult he can be to work with. Unfortunately for Terrence, Marvel Studios is also difficult to work with, and in the early days, they started cleaning house. If anyone gave them the slightest issue, they were replaced at the next available opportunity. On top of reports coming from the set of Iron Man that he was living up to his reputation, it was also noted that director Jon Favreau wasn't exactly loving his performance. Then by the time Iron Man 2 rolled around, he would be replaced by Don Cheadle. And the saddest part about his story in particular is looking back at that first Iron Man where Terrence sees the War Machine suit and says, "Next time." Little did he know, there would never be a next time.
Next time, baby.
In number 2, Shane Gillis. Just 4 days after joining the cast of Saturday Night Live, comedian Shane Gillis was fired from the show for old comments that he made during a podcast. A video had resurfaced that showed him using a racial slur in mid-conversation.
Damn, Chinatown's nuts.
It's crazy, dude.
It is full China, dude. It's Chinese down there.
I wonder how that started. They just built one up looking building and people were like,
This is from an episode of Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast, which is just what it's called. Shane had admitted that he is white trash and his fans love him for that persona, which is probably why this video went under the radar for so long. Now, what people don't realize was that SNL most definitely knew about this clip before they hired him because it was up on his YouTube channel for so long beforehand. It wasn't until they felt the backlash of Twitter that they decided to be virtuous and fire him for his remarks. Meanwhile, SNL has a terrible history of doing blatantly stereotypical and racist comedy sketches. They simply used Shane as a way to make them look like the moral superior and then just did away with him. As a result of this very public blacklisting from the show, it will certainly be difficult for Shane to involve himself in any big Hollywood productions. That being said, he's a stand-up comedian from New York City. I mean, I really doubt that he ever wanted anything to do with Hollywood in the first place. Last but certainly not least, at our number 1 spot, Vince Vaughn. While promoting his new movie The Dilemma, they played a trailer on Ellen to promote the movie, and in that trailer was this line.
Ladies and gentlemen, electric cars. They're totally gay. It's true. I don't mean that they're homosexual gay.
Yeah, he said that on Ellen. I mean, you gotta imagine the network executives were just sweating that aired live. For a long time, Vaughn was banned from ever even being on the show. Additionally, he found it very difficult to find his footing in Hollywood after he finished the movie Wedding Crashers. Sadly, his role in the movie The Internship also just further exposed how one-dimensional his acting abilities truly are. Don't get me wrong, he can be funny, but he needs to be surrounded by a proper supporting cast to make that happen. However, Hollywood is mainly looking out for that leading star power that can draw people without needing that added name like they did with Owen Wilson in The Internship. There's also his friendship with Trump that Hollywood is absolutely flabbergasted by.